Hello, this is Photography Gamer. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm reviewing Assassin's Creed Origins for the PS4. The game is also available for the Xbox One and Microsoft Windows. Assassin's Creed Origins is an action-adventure game developed by Ubisoft Montreal. Origins is set in ancient Egypt and sees you assume the role of a Magi named Bayek. The game tells the story of two rival groups who were the forerunners for the Brotherhood of Assassins and the Templars. So, what is the game like to play? Well, as with the other games in the series, you're tasked with assassinating key figures throughout the vast world. You'll be using stealth tactics, parkour abilities and combat to identify, infiltrate and execute your targets. Thankfully, you have Senu, an eagle who acts as an old world drone, and Senu can mark enemy targets, treasure chests or points of interest as she flies overhead. And you can fly as far as you like, and it's a great way of getting the lay of the land before you embark on an expedition into hostile territory. Another thing to note about Origins is it's more of a role-playing game than any other Assassin's game that came before it, with more emphasis on character customization, leveling up, perks, looting, crafting and upgrading gear and abilities. The main story is excellent and one of the best in the series, and it's all held together by Bayek, who's one of the strongest leads and has a great power and impact in his words and his deeds. As with other role-playing games, you're inundated with side quests here. There are so many it can get ridiculous, and it's very easy to lose track of what you're actually supposed to be doing. The combat system is solid, but perhaps could have been more robust with more complex blocking, parrying and special moves. Weapon variety is extensive with swords, shields, bows, darts and heavy bludgeoning weapons available to you. These weapons can be dismantled for raw parts or sold to blacksmiths or traders, and this game is more reliant on resource gathering to level up your gear. Everywhere you go, you see the loot sign pop up and you'll become a hoarder in no time, gathering currency, parts for weapons and special items. You can even go hunting in the wilds for pelts which can be sold or used as and when required. As you level up, you have an expansive skill tree of perks to unlock, and you can make your character into whatever you see fit, whether you're a pure combat person or if you like stealth or other more survival skills. The enemies are varied and offer different challenges depending on their class. Higher level enemies are like bullet sponges though, you'll literally need to hit them 50 times to finish them off. It's something that does get annoying, and the developers need to look at the leveling system in regard to enemies, as it is a bit ridiculous at times. Also, if you're exploring new lands and you encounter a hostile group, it's almost impossible to run away. It can get really frustrating when all you want to do is explore. Okay, so let's talk about the game world. The way they've captured ancient Egypt, not just architecturally but atmospherically, is absolutely sensational. The map is enormous and it has incredible attention to detail, in particular when you enter settlements or towns. There's a hustle and bustle to it all, and you feel like you're just one person in a much larger world. Thankfully, you've got your trusty camel or horse to get around the vast landscape, and you can even steal some poor fisherman's felucca boat if you fancy cruising down the Nile at sunset. And there is so much to do in this world, from taking on enemy fortresses, exploring lost tombs, seeking out special weapons or animal hides at certain points of interest. But the one problem with the game world and the game itself is the leveling system. Being an open world game, it encourages you to explore and seek out new lands, but each region has a number allocated to it, dictating the challenge relating to the combat in that zone. And this is a real issue when you want to explore. It restricts where you can go, because if you're not at the right level, you'll get killed by overpowered enemies very quickly. I mean, you can literally stand there for 30 minutes hitting an enemy as you make almost no impact on their health bar. But even if you were to kill them and acquire their weapon, you still can't use it. I think you should be able to use any weapon you find, but perhaps in time your effectiveness with that weapon would increase. But to not allow you to use a cool sword due to level restriction, it's a silly thing and it doesn't really make any sense. I understand games use these methods to stagger story progression, but it also renders such a vast open world unfit to explore until the late game. Surely the industry can come up with a more intuitive system. What do you think they could do to improve these systems? Put that in the comments. But aside from the leveling issue, the rest of the game is an absolute masterclass, and there are so many other features to enjoy, such as the arena fights spread throughout the lands for wannabe gladiators. You can undertake amazing chariot races at the Hippodrome, or even avenge the dead bodies of other players as you find them strewn throughout the lands. Graphically, the game is an absolute treat and it has a stunning world, excellent character models, great attention to detail and slick animation in parkour and combat. The game also has a solid photo mode where you can capture Bayek and Egypt in all its glory. In terms of sound, the voice acting is a good standard, the music is perfectly pitched to the tone and atmosphere, and I'd say the ambient effects in particular really help with the immersion into the world. Okay, what's good and what's bad? What's good? The game world is a stunning piece of work and incredibly atmospheric. The stealth and parkour gameplay are as enjoyable as ever. It's a huge game that's great value for money. The combat system is fun and pretty simplistic. The story is strong and Bayek is an excellent main character, and the game has so many things you could do. You could play this for months and not even see a fraction of what's on offer. What's bad? The leveling system feels very restrictive in relation to exploring the vast world and what weapons you can use. It kind of defeats the purpose of exploration unless you do it in a regimented order the developers intended. And I'd say the combat could be more intuitive and complex as it feels a little bit simple. So, what is the verdict? Assassin's Creed Origins is an immensely playable open-world adventure RPG that's excellent value for money with an abundance of missions, side quests and activities. It's got a good story, it's got a good lead character, it's got a great game world, and it's one of the most immersive games in the series. It is a big shift for Assassin's Creed as it adds more quests, side activities, and it's definitely more like a role-playing game. It can be a little bit overwhelming, but it's good to have a lot of choices, I guess. The looting, crafting, leveling up system works for the most part, but as I said before, leveling is kind of a bit of a problem here, and it's a large expansive open world that calls you to explore it, but due to the way that each region is leveled, it kind of naturally restricts your exploration. Don't get me wrong, you can go anywhere, but if you're not an appropriate level, first sign of combat, you're dead. It's not a deal breaker, but it does feel like the developers are holding your hand a little bit too much, and they should have just let gamers have a little bit more freedom in terms of exploration and combat. But aside from that issue, I absolutely loved the game. It's an amazing adventure game, cool locations, good missions, lots of busy work, good activities, chariots, gladiators. So it's definitely one of the best games in the series, and it's a move in the right direction as it feels like it should go into more role-playing elements in future. So great game, minor leveling issues, but absolutely worth playing. So my score for Assassin's Creed Origins is 9 out of 10. Okay, that was the review. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. This is Photography Gamer, signing off. Thank you.